Why did we choose to build a steel building instead of a stick frame building? We're building a Barndo homestead here. We're up in northern Idaho, and that's a 60 by 40 steel building. I'm gonna tell you why I chose steel instead of wood, and you can see if it's gonna be right for you and your build. Before we start, if this is your first time at the channel, welcome. If you're back, thanks for coming back. We really need you around here, so I appreciate you for stopping by. So let's talk about steel buildings. I chose to do steel for a few reasons. First thing is that's our RV. We lived on our land in our RV as we were developing. So I wanted to have a building that we could get up quickly, that wouldn't take too much expertise to build, and that would be very cost effective. So we moved on our land in December of 2020, and the goal was to get the steel building built and in place so that we'd have a place to be away from the elements. It snows a bunch up here, and have some cover for our RV and stuff like that. So that was the plan, right? And we actually moved on land in December 1st, and we had the steel building built mid-February of 2021. So it didn't quite go to plan. But the thing that really sold me on steel was that I thought I could build the thing in about a week or 2 weeks, and I wouldn't need detailed plans and stuff like that. I could have just a kit that I could buy. Everything would come and I would assemble it. And so that's what I did. I got a kit from a company called Star State Steel. They were great. The kit cost right around 37,000 bucks. If you're interested in how much it costs to get the building up, here's the video for that. But really the goal was to be able to build cash. So build and pay for it as we went. We didn't end up doing that. I'm definitely going to be making a video about how to fund and finance your building. That was really the goal here. The good thing about steel buildings, especially when you get them as kits, is they come pre-engineered. They come with everything that you need. The only exception was it didn't come with these big 10-foot doors, which we got from rollupdoorsdirect.com. And so it came with everything that you need. It had all the bolts, it had the insulation, it had all the straps, like every single piece that you're going to need. Ultimately, it was more difficult to build. I created a video about should you build your own steel building without any experience, and told you what my experience was. It was difficult to build it. That being said, it took 3 weeks to build, and was definitely the most difficult thing that I've ever built, but I'm really glad that I did. Now let's talk about, do I regret going steel versus wood framing? Because I think there's a few benefits in terms of going with steel. So the main thing that I really wanted with this steel building, and this first part of our homestead is going to actually be a guest house at some point. We have 2 RV spots on either side. And so we really wanted to create a property that we could have people come to, and that would be really welcoming and hospitable, where they could stay and it wouldn't feel like they were, you know, in the spare bedroom type of a thing. So this is going to be a guest house at some point when we build our main house. So we're going to build a house right over here at some point. It's a beautiful view. This is going to be my workshop view. The beautiful thing about steel buildings is you have these huge spans where you don't have to have all of these support columns and things. So you can have a wide open shop. And actually down here, I'm going to build a mezzanine deck that's going to be an awesome workshop and arcade. So be sure to subscribe and follow along for that. But the reason why I wanted to have this was I thought, okay, I'm getting this building. It's going to be engineered for wind, for weight load, and all of the structural elements that I need. I can then take and build a 2-story house in the back half, and since the walls out here are not going to be structural, they're not going to be supporting the roof, they're just going to be adding to the rigidity and the strength of the building, just because we're building inside here. I don't need to go and get my plans engineered. And so I actually designed all of the plans for inside my house as well, using a program called Chief Architect. And so we did all the design, all the layout, figured out what we needed in terms of weight loads using, we have what are called BCIs, which are JCIs, the joists, which are manufactured joists. And we were able to then build the house. It's bulletproof, it's super strong, way over engineered in terms of weight loads and things. And we were able to build exactly what we wanted to inside here without having to go through an architect. So that saved us a bunch of money. I really like the layout that we did. I think it's going to be really cool. Be sure to subscribe. I'm excited to show you when it's all done. The last 25 pieces of drywall just showed up today, so that's really, really exciting. So as we were building though, it was really nice to have a large open shop that we could use, especially during winter time and things, to have a space where kids could come in and play inside here. We were able to keep our chickens in here. We were able to do a bunch of really cool things, and It's just a really usable, functional space. We've also right now we have it full of building materials, so all the stuff that we needed to build the inside here has come in, and so it's been really, really useful. Now let's talk about the challenges that come with steel. Number one, it is heavy and difficult to move around. If you're not familiar with the material, if you don't have experience with it, if you don't have experience with the process, it is difficult. The instructions that come with it are general instructions. They're not detailed instructions like a Lego setup of instructions, right? It's here's what you do generally next, and it doesn't have your parts in particular in the directions. So you get a parts list and a drawing that has all of the parts put together, little numbers for the bolts and things, and then you have to figure out what order to put it together in, generally speaking. So you know, there's a lot of figuring out, a lot of learning and trial and error. Now there is a company called Great Western Building. They've recently been putting out some really, really good informational videos on how to do every single step. If I would have found those videos before I built, it would have saved me a week of time. I'm not even joking. I'm going to link to their video in the description below. Be sure to save this so that you can reference back if you're thinking about building. It is a great series on how to build, just as in detail, and how to do everything, how to trim stuff out, how to do the insulation, how to lay everything out. I wish I would have seen this because it seriously would have saved me so much time. I was just learning because it didn't seem like I could find good YouTube videos that showed me how to do what I needed to do. Now, in one of the other videos that I did about the biggest regrets regarding steel buildings, I talk about how I would have done spray foam. And that definitely has been, I think, the biggest drawback to a metal building. Now, I have heard that wood buildings also have condensation and sweat issues too, especially in cold climates like I'm in. So I don't think I would have been out of the woods there, but I do think it would be to a lesser extent. So that being said, the only drawback that I really have with steel is the moisture and condensation issues. So that is the biggest problem, in my opinion, with steel buildings and steel barndos. But other than that, you have so much just freedom to choose how you're going to lay out your space. You have the ability to build anything that you want inside of it. You have these huge spans that make your building size so large. In my opinion, it is a really great way to build a barndo. The other thing that's really cool is that it's very cost effective. Now, lumber prices have come down significantly, but when I bought my building, it was way cheaper. Probably a third as much for the steel and materials as it would be if I had been building with conventional building materials, with wood siding, wood frame, and those kind of materials. So I think that I have a stronger product that is engineered properly. I didn't have to do architecture and pay for an architect and everything. I had plans that came from the company that were completely engineered, and that was really, really helpful. So if I was doing it over again and building another barndo, definitely would stick with steel. The house that we're going to be building over on the hill, we're going to be doing that in wood because it's going to be a more conventional build. We're going to also take a lot longer to do it. So obviously being able to get something up quickly, to get it done and relatively finished is really, really helpful in my opinion. So if you're thinking about building while on site, I think it's a great route because it gives you that speed to get everything up and built and in place so that you can then begin building on your own. So overall, I think it's a great option for barndos. I can't recommend it enough. I think if you don't know what you're doing and if you're open to trying to build it yourself, be sure to watch the video about should you build a steel building. Also, be sure to watch the biggest regrets and the cost breakdown because I think those are very, very helpful for anybody that's considering building a steel building. Listen, I hope that you had got value from this video. If you did, be sure to hit that like button, comment down below with any questions, and I'll see you on the next video.